Hey, welcome back to the Scout's Eye. My man Voch Lombardi, my #1 scout. And Voch, you're going to talk about this New York Giant team a little bit for us today.
Yes, sir. Dealing with Russell Wilson, and the Giants line should really make this easy for you.
Okay.
But just one challenge that the Cowboys have to deal with early is Russell Wilson running.
Now, don't tell me that. Running quarterback again.
Once again, now Russell Wilson passing, not even worried about it.
Right.
Last week, Cowboys did a bunch of zone, muddy things up, and they made Jalen Hurts run.
Okay.
The problem is they didn't capitalize after they made Jalen Hurts run. Now, this is where we have the advantage here. The Giants wide receivers aren't as great. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of lock those guys up. Pardon me, Malik Neighbors is fantastic.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering my LSU. I wasn't getting any LSU love.
Pardon me, Malik Neighbors is fantastic, but the core of the Eagles is much different than the core of the Giants. Let me just say it like that, Bryan Broaddus. But the Cowboys did a fantastic job of dealing with those wide receivers.
Gotcha.
There's less superstar receivers to deal with this week, but when Russell Wilson runs, it needs to be some damn body to come up and deal with Russell Wilson running, unlike
when you spy somebody, right?
I would love if one of our media friends, colleagues, or he just texts you back, Flus just hollers at you and be like, hey, this is what happened.
This is what happened.
and the Cowboys have a lot of running quarterbacks that they got to deal with moving forward. But, Bryan, I want you to think about the pressure up front. It's coming from the middle there. 1, 2, bam, bam. And that's what made Russell Wilson kind of feel it and get out of there. So, for them, that's Dexter Lawrence and what's my man's with the 3 first names? Roy, John, Joe Jenkins.
Yeah.
Pressure from those guys. That's going to have to be Osa. That's going to have to be Clark this week, Bryan. So they're going to deal with those interior guys. Russell's got to run, but there has to be somebody to come up and deal with him.
Yeah, you know, and when you're talking about it, though, how do you play? Because you're getting the squeeze. You're getting the squeeze. How do you deal with that with your up front? Is it just straight push? Are you going to run twist games? How are you going to deal with that? Because you're more worried about him going through the center of the pocket, don't you?
Yeah.
And that would be the biggest issues, I think.
That's a fantastic point, Bryan. Russell's not going to run out here. He's not Jackson Daniels, one of those guys.
He's an escape through the middle of it.
He's going to step up. So that's but look, Flus wants to do this, Bryan. Flus wants to just rush 4 guys. Lane integrity, like that's kind of his thing or whatever, right? Now maybe when you're playing against Jalen Hurts, you want to blitz him a little bit. Russell Wilson, play coverage. And let your one-on-one guys beat these one-on. There's no Mailata to deal with. There's no Lane Johnson. There's no Dickerson. Deal with those guys, and you should be fine with Russell Wilson there, Bryan Broaddus. Let me just run this one by you. Now, Bryan, Mozzie Smith might be active this week. And, boy, if you go to your film programmer and you say, hey, what's Mozzie Smith's best plays? There's one offensive lineman that's going to pop up a whole bunch with Mozzie Smith.
You're about to tell me of a 3-name guy, John Michael Smith.
Oh, Bryan Broaddus, that character right there. But this is where we're going to pivot a little bit. Mozzie does fantastic against John Michael Smith. I can only imagine how great Kenny Clark is going to be. So this ain't me advocating to put 56 in the game. This is me saying, hey, you know that this guy ain't the greatest. Go get John Michael Smith, Bryan Broaddus. And I think that's what the Washington Football Wizards, I don't say Commanders, I think that's what the Washington Football Wizards did here. And they attacked Smiths with all different types of characters. You know, Payne is a guy that can do it, but they also brought guys from the inside there, Bryan Broaddus. They'll bring an edge. And you talked about slanting fronts, moving gaps. Put anybody on John Michael Smith. He doesn't move his feet all that well, so you can play quick game with him. This would be a great time to use Donovan Ezeraku as that faux Micah type guy. Move him around, footwork. Please, go ahead.
Do you feel like, though, that he has more problems with quickness or with power?
John Michael got problems with both.
Okay.
He got problems with both, Bryan Broaddus.
So the Kenny Clark way of doing things, I think, would be work. But you talked about moving Donovan Ezeraku in and doing some stuff like anybody with quickness, Solomon Thomas, anybody that has that ability to attack, hit that snap hand, I think you have to consider.
Whether it be power, footwork, whatever you want to do, go after John Mike. Go after all 5 of these guys. But Russell Wilson's
got to be aware. Be aware.
Deal with him in the middle.
In the middle.
Now, Bryan, this is something that the Cowboys have to worry about personnel-wise, right? Wan'Dale Robinson, 17.
In the backfield.
Malik Neighbors, there's only so much we can do. He's going to be fantastic. He's going to be great. But you don't want to let Wan'Dale beat you. Wan'Dale lines up outside. D-balls lines up in the middle. Slot, stuff like that. But when he lines up in the backfield, Bryan, now we're like, okay, do we want Kenneth Murray running upfield with Wan'Dale Robinson?
Probably not.
But this is kind of what you get with the Giants and Russell Wilson, though, Brian. Like, Russell Wilson is either going to check it down short or he's going to throw the ball deep. So if you can deal with the deep stuff, you're really going to see a whole bunch of Russell Wilson checking down. So if Rondell Robinson is threatening you in the backfield, it's going to be something short. It's going to be something small like that, Brian. But you have to
tackle there,
you got to come up and tackle. Rondell is very slippery, Brian. So you don't. I think the Cowboys did a decent job second half tackling. You know, but you don't want to deal with this kind of stuff, missing tackles in the open field. So now that's when Trevon has to come up and tackle, because I believe that's going to be his side, Brian. Trevon has to come up and tackle. And even if a guy like Leofau, right, let's just say, let me bring this back just a little bit, Brian. Let's just say that you have a guy like Leofau kind of floating out, you know, over in that ethos. He gets over to the flats there. He has to square up and deal with Wan'Dale Robinson. And Wan'Dale can run. So I think the Cowboys are going to have to be conscious of that matchup, Brian.
Yeah, I think, though, that, too, and that's Frankie Louvu, who missed the tackle there, who's a really good tackler for the Commanders there. But you got to be aware of when you're starting to talk about the Giants, and things like this always kind of give you problems when they put receivers in the backfield. You got to be able to sort those things out.
Also, too, Brian, I think something that can benefit the Cowboys, and it bothers the hell out of me because every team does it to us. If you know Russell Wilson is going to be checking it down a little bit, boom, 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 I need guys like this to just get your hands up.
Get your hands up,
Get your hands up. Bet that thing down, because it's either going to be something short or something deep. But you're going to watch the Giants, and you're going to see that for yourself, Brian. I just want you to confirm that for me.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, I don't want to sound like a hater or nothing like that, but if Dorrance Armstrong can generate 9 pressures.
9 pressures.
9 pressures versus this group, Brian Bros, I can imagine that our guys can have a day. This is Dorrance Armstrong versus our left tackle. I don't even know his name, but it's Imagn. It's something French. Something French, Brian Bros. But just winning with just power. Winning with power. And what do we see here, Bryan Broaddus?
Well, it's Imagn on the other side. Is that Hudson?
Pardon me, Hudson
over here.
Because look, Dorrance whooped both of them. But on this one, though, he got Hudson, and it forces Russell to kind of feel it and step a little bit, right? You got to deal with that inside. Whether it's jumping down or not, you got to deal with that inside. But that's Dorrance Armstrong over.
Scatterboo right there, huh?
I ain't worried about Scatterboo neither, Bryan Broaddus. just like in draft world. And then you got Dorrance Armstrong on the opposite side. So they move Dorrance around. Right. I want the Cowboys to do the same thing. Move our guys around and just find the best matchups for us. Yeah. Winning with power again, just another pressure. Russell Wilson. You saw him there, Bryan Broaddus. What we saw. He wanted to step up a little bit, then he had to kind of dip out. Right. Cowboys have to be gap sound, but the Cowboys have to be very aware of that A gap. Now, I don't have Fluce's number, and Fluce ain't got to text you back. But just text him and be like, hey, man, can we just get eyes around here somewhere so that when Russ does eventually run, because Russ does, he doesn't want to run, but he got 40 yards of bailout pressure is what I call it, right? Just pocket pressure, bailout, and he ends up rushing for 40-some yards. They're not going to design runs for Russell in that way like they did with Hurts.
I remember this, Voch, when Rod Marinelli was here and you would play against Russell with Seahawks. Yeah. Marinelli would always tell me, he goes, you have to make him play like he's in a well. Just don't let him keep the well around him and make him have to keep playing backwards. Just when Russell Wilson's at his best going forward, make him play backwards in these football games because of his lack of height, having to throw stuff over the top. You see some of those moon passes. But keep him in the well right there and make him have to play backwards.
Yep, but that's what I got for you there, Bryan Broaddus. If we're going to deal with Russell, A-gaps are important. Yeah. Dealing with Wan'Dale Robinson, of course you got to deal with Neighbors. Like, he's a superstar over there, but I'm sure the Cowboys have a plan for that. And like you say, this well right here, Brian, contain. Let's have a better job containing this week. And I think the Cowboys going to beat the hell out of the Giants regardless, but I don't want the Giants to get sneaky and pop up and give us problems or whatever.
Yeah, and I think you did a really nice job of explaining. The thing that could kill the Cowboys in this game is probably the quarterback run of him doing stuff on third down. Thank you very much. Voch Lombardi, Scout's Eye for another week on the New York Giants. Make sure you're checking out all our content here on the Crown Global Media. We'll do our weekly breakdowns. We have our shows. And thank you very much for joining us once again.